It's the English summer of 2019. Lord's is covered in confetti. The World Cup trophy is in our hands. And for a brief, glorious moment, we convince ourselves that English cricket has finally cracked it. Fast forward a few years, and that day feels like something they show in history lessons. Since 2019, especially whenever we go anywhere near Australia, our new era has mostly looked like an extremely long, extremely public breakdown. Before we get into it, if you're the kind of tragic who can't stop watching your own team suffer, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this beautifully shambolic saga. Back then, the story was simple. World champions in 2019, home ashes drawn. Ben Stokes turning into a superhero at Headingley. Joe Root piling runs. We told ourselves we were bold, fearless, finally modern. Australia might have kept the urn, but we talked as if a drawn series on our own decks proved we'd reached their level. Then reality turned up. Away from home, the flaws we'd been politely ignoring started screaming. The 2021-22 Ashes in Australia was a 4-0 reminder that whatever we thought we were building, it wasn't remotely Gabba-proof. We arrived talking about planning and lessons learned. By lunch on day one at the Gabba, we were in the familiar position. 3 down for not many. Half the country Googling why we do this to ourselves. So we hit the reset button. New coach, Brendan McCullum. New captain, Ben Stokes. New word to cling to like a life raft, Bazball. On paper, Bazball sounds magnificent. Play without fear. Take the positive option. Put bowlers under pressure. Results aren't everything. It's Test cricket as a lifestyle brand. And at home, in friendly conditions, it sort of works. We chase silly targets, score it to run a ball, declare aggressively, and for a while it feels like we've hacked the sport. The problem is that Bazball, like most English optimism, has a postcode. It lives at home. The real exam paper is always Australia, because it's one thing slapping around a tired attack at Lord's in June. It's another thing entirely trying to express yourself against Cummins, Hazelwood and Stark with a kookaburra and a hint of cloud in Brisbane. That's the heart of the joke, really. We've built an entire identity around intent and entertainment, but our modern record against the one team we care about most looks like a highlight reel someone made to bully us. Look at the pattern since that World Cup high. We treat middle-order counterattacks as proof the method is working, instead of evidence that we've put ourselves in another ridiculous position. Our away Ashes record is a graveyard. Since 2010-11, every tour has ended in a heavy defeat. The last one a 4-0 lesson in the difference between slogans and systems. The strangest part is that you can see the quality and the delusion at the same time. We're not short of talent. Root is a great of his generation. Stokes has dragged matches out of the fire that had no right to be saved. Some of the younger batters are properly gifted. But collectively, we behave like a team more interested in defending the philosophy than actually winning ugly. Lose a tight one, we stuck to our values. Collapse from a strong position, we died on our sword. Get bounced out twice in 3 days. That's how we want to play. We've turned coping mechanisms into post-match talking points. And when the conversation turns to Australia, the mental gymnastics get Olympic level. We talk about fine margins, moments, luck, everything except the obvious truth. They bowl a relentless length, catch almost everything, and our batting still doesn't stand up for 5 tests in their conditions. An Ashes trip should feel like a 4-year campaign. Too often, it looks like we packed the wrong suitcase the night before. Minimal warm-up matches, little time in proper first-class games, selections that seem to ignore Australian conditions entirely. We've taken squads overloaded with right-arm fast mediums to the flattest pitches, left out our genuine pace on the quickest tracks, and then stared at the pitch like it personally betrayed us. So, is this really the worst English cricket team in history? Statistically, probably not. There have been eras with fewer wins, worse players, more chaos. But there is something uniquely painful about this one. A side good enough to dream big, loud enough to tell the world about it, and fragile enough to fall apart in the exact same places our predecessors did. At least the truly awful England teams of the past knew they were terrible. They turned up in Australia hoping not to get completely humiliated, and usually did. This lot arrived talking about saving Test cricket, reinventing batting, changing the way the game is played. Then they edged to second slip like everyone else. It's not that Bazball is entirely wrong. There's a genuine joy in seeing England play without paralysis. It has produced some of the most watchable Test matches we've ever had. But the longer it goes on, the more you feel the gap between the story and the scoreboard. At some point, someone has to win something that really matters. And in our world, that still means leaving Sydney with the urn actually in our luggage, not just in a hashtag. Until that happens, the worst English cricket team in history isn't really a precise statistic. It's a feeling. It's the feeling of watching another first morning at the Gabba, telling yourself this time will be different, and then seeing the same top-order stakes play out ball by ball. It's the feeling of hearing another press conference about how proud we are of the approach, while the series result quietly says otherwise. Deep down, we know exactly how this story ends. We'll keep watching. Of course we will. That's what being an England fan is. You buy the dream every few years. You cling to the odd miracle. You talk yourself into believing the next tour will be the one. Maybe one day it will be. Until then, this has been Cruel Law, the worst English cricket team in history. Travel safe, and if you do start banging on about Bazball in an Australian bar, just remember, they've seen the scorecards. We have too. We're just a bit better at pretending.